Hello and welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I am Adrian Atkinson and I'll be your guide on today's journey. We have an informative and engaging program lined up just for you.
Hey Conroy, what do you love most about being an artist?
What I like the most about being a visual artist is that it allows me to be myself. What about you?
I love the fact that I'm able to express myself without using words, and I can let people get a glimpse of what goes on in my mind.
If you are someone you know has a passion for creating, whether it's fine arts, web designing, makeup artistry,
or even pottery, that's something we don't see every day. Don't let others stop you from going after your dreams. We all only get one chance at life. Make sure you live for you.
Thank you so much for staying with us right here on Jamaica Magazine. As we say farewell to the 2025-2026 financial year and welcome 2026-2027, attention turns to the plans and priorities that will shape the country's economic path ahead. In our first feature, we examine the government's approach to maintaining fiscal stability while strengthening key sectors and supporting economic growth in the year to come.
This budget for the new fiscal year is one that I've defined as a moment of consequence. It is a moment that matters, a turning point, a critical juncture, or a time when the results of actions or decisions truly make an impact.
Jamaica's ability to weather global economic shocks depends largely on maintaining strong financial buffers. One of our biggest safety nets is the country's net international reserves, which remain well above global benchmarks.
The net international reserve stands strong at US $6.839 billion as of March 5th, 2026. If we take the gross rather than the net reserves and measure it in weeks of goods and services imports, that would be 36 weeks, based on the official figures that the Bank of Jamaica publishes. The global international benchmark is 12 weeks, meaning it's considered adequate for a country if its gross reserves covers 12 weeks of goods and services import. Jamaica has 36 weeks.
Hurricane Melissa made landfall on October 28, 2025, shifting plans and priorities. But despite the economic setbacks, recovery is already underway with revised growth projections from the Planning Institute of Jamaica PIOJ and the Bank of Jamaica.
The primary impetus for this is the speed with which the economy is rebounding. For the new fiscal year, which will start on April 1, 2026, fiscal year 2026-27, the PIOJ projects that the economy will return to growth in the range of +1% to 2%.
Against this economic backdrop, the government has outlined a national spending plan of $1,441,781,354,000 for the 2026-27 fiscal year. The figure covers day-to-day government operations, capital projects, and debt repayments. As the country enters the rebuilding phase, a large portion of spending has been allocated in that regard. Nevertheless, the gears must keep on turning, and so the budget also includes funding for several ongoing government initiatives aimed at strengthening public administration and institutional oversight. Among them is $19 million set aside for the backlog audit project managed by the Auditor General's Department to address a significant accumulation of unaudited financial statements across the public sector. Several major national programs will receive funding under the new budget.
$1.86 billion for implementation for NITS, $1.5 billion for Rural Economic Development Initiative 2, $150 million for strengthening cybersecurity in Jamaica, to include expanding the pool of specialized cybersecurity professionals, $5.5 billion for maintenance of secondary roads, $760 million for the Hope Housing, and $50.3 billion for payment of pensions.
Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, are also expected to play a critical role in rebuilding the economy following the hurricane. To support this, the ministry has plans to expand their access to government contracts.
In partnership, Madam Speaker, with the Public Procurement Commission, we will establish and maintain a verified list of qualifying MSME suppliers to enable procuring entities to easily identify eligible businesses when applying the set-asides provisions. Once the system is operational, the ministry will issue a renewed directive to public bodies mandating utilization of the set-aside order with special emphasis on micro-enterprises with annual turnover below $15 million and small enterprises with turnover between $15 million and $75 million. We have already demonstrated that we can take the nation through the Category 5 Hurricane Melissa, and we will take Jamaica through this significant war in the Middle East that has impacted oil prices.
With plans in place and the books balanced, the upcoming fiscal year will focus on recovery, resilience, and economic stability as Jamaica rebuilds following Hurricane Melissa while strengthening the foundations for long-term growth.
The Heart NSTA Trust has been a cornerstone in preparing the country's workforce through education and practical skills. Up next, we visit the vocational training centers in Manchester and St. Elizabeth to learn how trainees are being equipped for the future.
In the heart of Jamaica, two parishes stand tall. Manchester, where cool hills nurture discipline and drive. And St. Elizabeth, where the land gives life and the people shape possibility. Here, Heart NSTA Trust is more than an institution. It's a lifeline, planting seeds of opportunity where talent meets training.
I am Frederica Webster, Acting Regional Director, Region 5, which includes the parishes of Manchester and St. Elizabeth. In Region 5, we have 3 campuses. We have the Newport campus, which is in the parish of Manchester. They focus on welding to include digital welding, construction to include digital construction, hospitality services, multimedia production, as well as business programs. In St. Elizabeth, we have the Black River campus. At the Black River campus, they focus on beauty therapy, digital construction, business programs, as well as allied health and hospitality programs.
Across Mandeville, Top Hill, and Black River, Heart NSTA Trust reflects the rhythm of each community, adapting, advancing, and aligning talent with industry. Within this region, the Hart College of Manufacturing, Engineering, and Technology focuses on new and emerging areas such as robotics, optoelectronics, and mechatronics, serving key sectors to include manufacturing, construction, and agriculture.
My name is Dr. Steve Lawrence, and I'm the Director Principal of the STVET Institute, Region 5. Within the STVET Institutes, we have a rich mix of offerings. What we did, we looked at what would go up for sale within our catchment area and connect with our clients. Our trainees come from diverse backgrounds. Those who want to be in the construction industry, there's something for them. Those who want to be mechanics, we have not only the traditional mechanics as automotive repairs, but we also have hybrid and other technology-based augmented repairs. We also have beauty services. We focus heavily, especially in St. Elizabeth at the Derek Rochester Institute, we focus heavily on engineering. So we have everything from lighting technology to mobile, robotics, we have aerial drones, and all the new and emerging fields that they might not be very popular yet, but when we're looking around the corner about how do we make our trainees future-proof, we have a wide array of offerings.
Located in the historic town of Black River, the Hart NSTA Trust Institution serves as a key hub for skills training in southern St. Elizabeth, supporting both urban and rural communities across the parish. The Cosmetology and Beauty Services program at Hart NSTA Trust's Black River campus is one of the institution's most dynamic and in-demand offerings, designed for individuals with a passion for beauty, creativity, and personal care.
Hi, my name is Shante Miller. I completed the General Beauty Therapy Level 3, the diploma course here at the Hart NSTA Trust at Black River campus. My Hart certification impacted my ability to gain success, where I am now the proud owner of Taste and Spot, a local spa here in Black River, St. Elizabeth. I pursued my diploma and also went on to pursue my massage therapy level 4, where I gained the associate degree right here at the Black River STVET campus. With this being said, I furthered my career traveling overseas, where I worked on the cruise vessels for 3.5 years. I also benefited from the grant funding program, which allowed me to get supplies, which led to opening my business. Hart NSTA Trust has been an integral part of my success, and I must give them many thanks.
Also in South St. Elizabeth, Derek Rochester VTC in Junction stands out as a modern hub for automotive technology and mechanical training. This institution is known for bridging traditional vehicle repair with emerging electric vehicle EV innovation, preparing learners for the evolving demands of Jamaica's transportation industry.
One of the interesting challenges we face as a vocational entity is how do we get industrial experience to our clients. Our trainees need hours, sometimes hundreds of hours of exposure in industry to reach to full competence. We have virtual welding using the Vortex 360, and this actually allows them to put hours in getting those beads really right using augmented technology. This is amazing stuff.
Now let's move to the cool hills of Manchester. The Newport VTC serves as a vital training center for residents across the parish and neighboring communities. Known for its hands-on, workforce-driven approach, the campus plays a key role in equipping learners with practical skills aligned with Jamaica's economy and community development needs.
In this region, we have a robust marketing and recruitment team. We engage our community members, we engage other stakeholders to include employers, churches, schools, and we are involved in a lot of job fairs. We host job fairs, we host community engagement fairs. For example, we have one that we go in the community and we target the youth at risk, and that we dub it as Pondy Corner, where we actually go in the communities and really sit and reason with the youths and tell them of the fabulous opportunities that Hart has to offer in the region.
Hart is the answer to a nation that wants to build capacity. To understand what this means, you have to understand that every single person who is paying their taxes actually contributes to others getting skills and training and certification. That's a big deal. So if you're looking up, if your arrow is pointing up and you want to go somewhere, whether it's because you like money, it's because you like spending money, whether you want to take care of your family, or just because you love to learn and contribute to your nation, Hart is the place for you. Whether you're a young person looking for a new role, your first job, or you're in the field and you want to switch your career path, Hart is the solution. Pathways to employment.
The future is yours. Be smart and choose Hart.
Hi, I'm Landy. Welcome to NLA Connect, the National Land Agency's customer engagement platform. NLA Connect is a simple, user-friendly platform designed to help you share your feedback, get support, and updates about land-related matters. Available 24/7, NLA Connect allows you to share suggestions, comments, and commendations, submit queries and report issues, attach files with your requests, track requests and get real-time status updates, connect with NLA client engagement officers, and provide feedback on the service received by the platform. We're making it easier for you to connect with us. You can access NLA Connect via our website, using the kiosk at any of our offices, or scanning the QR code displayed at our locations. Need any help along the way? Check out our FAQs section. It has all the answers you need in one location. NLA Connect, your voice, our priority.
Healthy living begins with understanding what we put on our plates. Up next, we explore the different types of fats found in everyday foods and why moderation and awareness are key to maintaining good health.
The human brain is 60% fat. Fats provide a storehouse of energy for the body and promote normal cell growth and healthy skin. Fat also acts like a cushion and heat regulator to protect the heart, liver, and other vital organs. And as most people would know, fat adds flavor to our food and helps us feel full longer. It is clear that having fat in our diet is beneficial in many ways, but too much or the wrong kind can be equally harmful. Fat is a source of essential fatty acids which help the body absorb vitamins A, D, and E. There are 3 types. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids are both considered good fats. The third, saturated fatty acid, is what we are often encouraged to avoid or lower our intake. So too, trans fat, which is created by a process called hydrogenation that makes the fat harder at room temperature to increase the shelf life.
What is in our foods impact on the quality of our lives?
The World Health Organization recommends that trans fat intake be limited to less than 1% of total energy intake, which translates to less than 2.2 grams per day with a 2,000 calorie diet.
Studies have shown that saturated fat increases the amount of bad cholesterol, or LDL, in the blood and has no effect on the good cholesterol, HDL. Trans fatty acids increase the amount of bad cholesterol in the blood and also reduce the amount of good cholesterol. Diets high in these bad fats are linked to obesity, heart disease, and other cardiovascular-related problems. Trans fat also causes malformation of cell membranes and other cell structures in the body, leading to weak cell walls and abnormal cell function. They are not recognized by enzymes and can cause neural degeneration and diminished brain function. So why then is trans fat used? Well, taste and economics. Trans fat makes food stay fresh on the shelf longer and improves food texture and flavor stability. Based on a 2021 assessment of the fatty acids in commonly consumed foods in Jamaica, our intake is very high.
If you look at confectionery, you see how high the percentages there, and it comes down in several of the other food products. Okay, this is just the percentage that have trans fat. Notice that the canned foods had none at all, or the beverages that we looked at had no trans fat. Okay? But this is just saying whether there was trans fat in the product. What we are even more interested in is which products had high levels of trans fat. In terms of the highest concentrations, more than 2% of fat as trans fat, we see the dairy products, and it goes down like that. And then when we now look at those that had the same products that had high saturated fat along with the trans fat, we see the figures here.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is looking to change this and encourage better food production and consumption practices.
Healthier alternatives can be used that do not affect the taste or the cost of food.
Knowing what is in our food is part of the way forward. It is a lifestyle change to come through education, product reformulation, regulation, food labeling, and monitoring.
The elimination of industrially produced trans fats is part of a comprehensive policy package to prevent diet-related NCDs, which comprises mandatory food labeling, ingredients lists, nutrition panels declaring trans fats, interpretive front-of-package labeling based on nutrient profiles, restrictions on food marketing aimed at children and adolescents, mandatory standards for healthy food served in schools, and limits on sugar content.
It's not just about our resolve to do the right thing to consume what is in our best interest. That in and of itself is a challenge, because we have to now nudge, encourage, motivate, and in some instances legislate, I believe, certain types of actions to encourage better quality of life from a nutrition consumption standpoint. I think it is essential to advocating in the first instance for voluntary compliance as an immediate response.
As consumers, we have the choice of using naturally occurring unhydrogenated vegetable oils such as canola, safflower, sunflower, or olive oil. We can also limit red meat and choose lean cuts. It is also recommended that we steam, boil, or bake foods instead of cooking them in fats or oils. Another approach is to choose low-fat dairy products, poultry, and fish, and purchase processed foods made with unhydrogenated oils rather than partially or hydrogenated vegetable oils or saturated fats. Use soft margarines as a substitute for butter and choose soft margarine over the harder stick forms. Limit consumption of commercially fried foods and baked goods made with shortening or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Not only are these high in fat, but it is also likely to be trans fat. And cut back on foods high in dietary cholesterol. Let's eat healthy and live well.
Communities across eastern Jamaica continue to see steady progress and development, from improvements to health facilities in St. Mary to a commissioning of new justices of the peace and plans to upgrade a park in St. Thomas. There's plenty happening in the east. Let's take a look at these and other highlights in this month's Eastern Roundup.
Welcome to Eastern Roundup. My name is Paul Thompson, Councillor of the Mansion Hill Division, Mayor of Port Antonio. Come join with us to explore the East.
Hello from the picturesque parish of Portland. I'm Michaela Anderson Gordon. Coming up, St. Mary Health Centers get facelift. 28 Justices of the Peace commissioned to serve Portland. Innovation Hub and road test for high schools across the region. And renovation plans unveiled for Rudolph Elder Park in Morant Bay. Let's get into it.
Jamaicans served by the Oxford and Belfield Community Health Centers in St. Mary are now benefiting from upgraded facilities. The Oxford Community Health Center was built at a cost of $131 million, while the Belfield Community Health Center was renovated with $46.9 million. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the improvements reflect the state's push to strengthen primary health care while ensuring rural communities have access to modern, high-quality medical services.
what you have here compares to any other health center anywhere in Jamaica. Nobody don't have anything over you again as it relates to health center. And that is a good thing. And it is the standard vision that we're trying to promote.
Residents in and around the health centers are expected to benefit from integrated primary care, including family health, mental health support, counseling, nutrition, maternal and child health, as well as chronic disease management. 28 justices of the peace have been commissioned to serve the parish of Portland. At a recent ceremony, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Delroy Chuck, urged the JPs to play a more active role in promoting entrepreneurship in their communities.
We believe that entrepreneurs are the ones that drive and promote prosperity. Jamaica should never have anyone in poverty. And one of the things I really hope, Justice of the Peace, in your own small way, see what can be done to remove poverty from within your community.
Students at St. Mary Technical High School are now benefiting from a $20 million electrical and renewable energy innovation hub. The facility was established as part of the Education Ministry's TVET expansion plan and is expected to strengthen training in technical and vocational fields.
We recognized very early that TVET is the engine to drive this country forward. Just in case some person got you to believe that it is the traditional way of doing things and the clinical things, those traditional high schools, they have got nothing on you today. Because there is a high call and a high demand for technical education and for comprehensive education.
Still on education, 27 students at Titchfield High School in Portland are the first students in Eastern Jamaica to benefit from the Island Traffic Authority's Learner Driver Education Program. They are now eligible to obtain their learner's permits after successfully passing the road code test.
This movement sends a clear message to every young Jamaican that your life matters, your decisions matter, your vigilance on the road can save lives, possibly your own.
Over in Morant Bay, St. Thomas, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development unveiled its renovation plans for the Rudolph Elder Park in the parish. Proposals include a jogging trail, cultural and heritage square, upgraded fountain, landscaped areas, and improved access to the facility. The ministry says the initiative aims to create a safe, vibrant, and inclusive recreational space while ensuring residents play a key role in the park's redevelopment.
And that's a wrap on this edition of Eastern Roundup. For more information on these and other stories, visit our website at www.jis.gov.jm or follow us on our social media pages. Join us again next time for another update on Eastern Jamaica. I'm your host, Michaela Anderson Gordon. Thanks for watching.
That brings us to the end of today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. You can stay connected with us online at jis.gov.jm and on our social media platforms. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.